I saw an email that
Saying one wouldn't be able to make it, yes.
you wouldn't be able to make it.
Yes.
Okay. Call the meeting to order. You've all had a chance to read the minutes of the December 18th meeting. Do we have any additions, deletions, administrative changes? If not, I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes of 18 December.
Sir, if I do have one
Sure.
change, or just a minor type thing, but I know we always want to be as precise as possible. Ma'am, on page 2, where it says Chairman Gervasini asked for questions about the policy report, immediately below that, it says Commissioner Horvath asked when, why the city cares. Really what I did was I asked since when and why does the city care? Probably it's just bad English speaking for me. Other than that, that's the only thing I saw. And if there are no other corrections like that, then sir, may I make a motion to accept the report with that one correction?
Sure.
Sure. Make
Sure.
such a motion.
Okay. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion or changes? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. The ayes have it. May we have a staff report, please?
The first order of business is election of officers. So we need to elect a chair and a vice chair.
Will. Well,
I'll volunteer for one of those.
I'll volunteer for a vice chair.
So then, if he's volunteering for vice chair, you're volunteering for chair.
Unless you'd like to do it.
Not necessarily.
Okay. We'll do it.
Vice chair, or chair.
Chair and vice chair.
Do we have a motion to that effect?
Probably need to do those separately, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Okay. Someone want to make a motion to elect
Stated, right?
Daniel.
This would be
It's Daniel.
Daniel.
Sorry.
Daniel?
Terrible with names. I make a motion then that we select Daniel Bowling for vice chair.
I second it.
okay.
All in favor say aye.
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 The ayes have it. Daniel will be the vice chair. I make a motion to give Kathy the chairman.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. It's all yours.
Do I start tonight?
Of course.
Or do I? Do I start tonight?
Yes.
We just had the election.
This is kind of,
Okay.
This is kind of the Leavenworth city version of Shark Tank.
All right, then, we've done that. Our first and only case tonight is 2024-03, located at 4618 South 4th Street. This will be a public hearing wherein the petitioner is seeking a variance from section 8.11 of the adopted development regulations to allow more than one sign for an individual storefront and to allow the sign service to be greater than 10% of the wall surface to a property zoned general business district. Staff report?
This is the U-Haul self-storage facility located at 4618 South 4th Street. Per the development regs, one attached sign is allowed in GBD per side. In June of 2023, they had 2 attached wall signs approved, one for the front east side and one for the south wall that say drive-in storage. This is a current picture, so these 2 signs were approved. In June 2023, we had discussion with the sign company, because part of their submission had all of these also. We said that they would not be allowed and they could request a variance.
Are you talking about the numbers on the doors?
No, these panels, there's no windows there, but they are supposed to look like window signs. These like doors,
So just the drive-in storage portion was approved?
just
the
these,
top, Yeah.
the 2 lines.
But those aren't, I thought those were numbers on the doors, they're not?
There is numbers on the doors.
But the sign is a whole panel. Each one of these is one panel sign.
Okay.
In early August 2023, the other signs were installed without a permit and a notice of violation was sent to the property owner. The application for the other 6 signs was submitted to us in September of 2023. A notice of violation again was sent in December of 2023 for the signs being installed. We received a variance application after that second violation letter. The variance is being requested for signs that have already been installed and were denied due to exceeding the number and wall percentage allowed per sign. The requested variance is to allow 3 additional signs on the south side here. There's these 2, and there is another sign here that they are requesting. It's just not installed. And 4 additional signs on this front east wall. And it would exceed the maximum wall surface coverage for attached signs, which is 10% to 18% on the east wall for property zone GBD.
Okay, so
I need some more clarification.
right, I was gonna ask some questions myself. So
Sure.
when we're talking about the signs, we're not talking about the actual words or the letters. We're talking about the actual doors / windows.
Those are technically signs.
Those are considered signs. Okay, because honestly, I personally, when I drive by, I thought it was just a picture. Like, so,
Even if it is, it could be a mural, but if it's representing any sort of advertisement for that business, it's considered, per our development regulations, definitions, a sign.
okay, so if it was like an abstract thing, then it would be separate and okay,
Correct.
Possibly.
theoretically.
So those
Okay.
aren't real doors?
No.
No,
That-
they're just a picture.
Yeah, I just thought it was just a regular picture. I didn't really know it would be considered a sign because there was no wording on it.
Right.
Are they painted on there, or are they a drape?
They're signs.
They
Can you-
are a 5-foot aluminum panel
If you're gonna
by
speak, can I have you
8-foot.
come to the,
Yes.
state your name, address?
I'm Joshua McGinn, owner's representative for U-Haul at 4618 South 4th Street, this building. So those panels are 5 foot wide, I believe they're 8 foot tall. And they're individually put up there to represent storage doors in numerical order.
So here's one of the sign applications showing the signs. And then this is the sign that's being requested but not installed yet.
And it says U-Haul, and then what does it say below it?
Self-storage, but that would be one sign.
All right, so how many signs are they asking for? You have
3 on the south side, so 1, 2, 3.
Okay,
And then on the front, they're asking for 4 additional, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it would be 18% of the total wall versus 10%, which is, 10% is the max allowed.
so how does this there's some proposed amendments, right?
Text
For the
amendments?
regulations.
How would this fit in with those proposed amendments?
Those were not being changed.
No, not being changed.
Makes no difference, okay?
Okay. So then my other question, so I drive by, but my memory needs to be refreshed a little bit. So does this property have a freestanding sign that denotes the business?
Not
To
on
refresh
the
my
front.
memory, not on the front at all?
No.
Okay, so I could,
We have our big storage facility that sits way off the road, the old Kmart building, that's the only signage we have face to face, and then we have this building that has what's on there now.
okay, so I can see why you would want that U-Haul sign so you can more denote what the business.
Right, we have a hard time with the truck drivers that are coming to deliver boxes or pick up boxes, because it does not say U-Haul anywhere on the building.
Okay, and then I would assume that it would be cheaper to install the sign on the building than erect a freestanding sign, be my understanding, okay. Just trying to get an idea where you're coming from.
We have the sign already. We come into this thing, so we told them to hold off until we can satisfy everything.
Any other questions for staff?
I'm just having a more difficult time wrapping my head around it,
Yeah,
because it's such a
so
big,
am I.
it's such a big building with so much, available space.
So here's the definition for sign. Any device, fixture, or place card on a structure that uses any color, form, graphic, illumination, symbol, or writing to advertise, announce the purpose of, or identify the purpose of a person or entity, or to communicate information of any kind to the public. Flags are not signs. All signs must conform to the applicable city codes. So that's why these are considered signs.
Okay.
And then if I also remember correctly, if I remember reading right, isn't there an exemption if it is like a hand-carried sign that could be like staked in their front property? That would be exempt because it's not
A hand-carried
attached?
sign is a person carrying a sign.
Okay, okay.
So the actual signage is almost twofold in this case. In that we've got the drive-in storage,
Which has already been approved.
already approved, and then those doors are acting as the second portion of that sign.
Yes. and
They're an
they-
identifier of the business.
Okay.
Two separate sign applications.
Okay, and then the same thing, so that's one side, that's the south side,
Correct.
and then the east side has two of those.
Four. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Four of those, right. And so that's essentially what I understand then, that we're asking for a variance to allow those four and the other two.
The other 3.
Other,
1, 2, 3.
oh, okay, I'm sorry.
So that
Thank
U-Haul
you.
one, the small U-Haul one, so the other
Yes.
ones, they were told not to install these, that they would be denied. They installed everything except the U-Haul sign. So the U-Haul sign is the one that they haven't installed yet.
Okay.
And also on this east side, it's a variance from 10% allowed to 18% of allowable usage of the wall.
Okay,
Is that 10% of that one wall,
Right,
or,
the wall.
but not 10% of the entire exterior space?
Correct. It's by
Each wall.
each wall.
so, I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
Let's
please.
then.
Go ahead.
Then if I understand it correctly, if only the drive-in storage portion of those two signs there, or those four signs, like that, were being displayed. And on the other side, the, south side, only again, that storage, and then not the two signs below, but additionally, really, the variance would be to allow the third sign, wouldn't it? Because you're really only allowing a sign on each side, And so then we have two,
If they didn't already install those other signs.
yes, right.
So if this gets denied, for instance, then those signs would have to be taken down.
Yes,
Because the only ones that are approved and allowed by right are the two that have already been installed, or the two that have been approved, which is this one and this drive-in storage.
okay. And so then, and I apologize for turning my redundant meter on, then that little sign, the U-Haul
Over
storage
here.
there, which would be kind of in the middle
Right
of
here.
that, of the darker surface, like that, would not be put up.
It would
Wouldn't be
still need a
approved.
variance,
Okay. Okay,
so you could allow only one additional sign, for instance.
oh, yeah, okay, right.
Okay, so my other question, so we see the corner that says drive-in storage with those two additional panels beneath it. So the only issue, if I'm understanding correctly, is that those two signs were just not approved, but the drive-in storage part of the sign was.
They're not allowed, they were denied,
But the drive-in portion was
approved.
approved, right?
Yes,
But the
these
two
two
below
were
it was
approved.
denied,
These were denied,
and they were just denied on the basis that those two are considered signs and it's just one per wall.
correct.
So then my
Well,
question,
one per wall plus, it's 8% over the maximum allowed.
On the east
Right.
side.
Yes, on
Yeah.
that side.
that was gonna be my next question. If they just had, I guess, installed it as one panel, like with everything on it, and it was 8% smaller, then theoretically it would be allowed.
Well, you're only allowed, a certain size sign
Right.
also.
But you said it was 8% too big
8% of the wall.
of the wall, right?
But allowed by GBD,
Mhm.
What,
it's, I wanna say 500 square feet.
Yes.
I think that's right, yeah.
Sounds right.
Right.
So.
Plus only 10% of your wall and up to 500 square feet.
So if we wish to, or if we choose to do so, then we could deny those 6 signs and as far as the doors, but then allow the variance to include that one sign that isn't up yet,
This one?
right there, yes.
Yes.
Yes, you can do that.
Okay, and then that would, although that would create the need for a variance because it's a third sign, the 1, 2, so it should be 1 and 1.
You
One
would,
on the east, one on the south, but instead we had 2, but for sure the other elements then it would exceed the allowable size and surface space allowed, correct? Or am I wrong?
On the east side it would.
On the east.
The south side, I think it's under the
it's
10%.
under, but you could, so it would be allowing it'd be allowing 2 signs per south side.
Right,
If you just wanted, or south wall, if you just wanted to allow the one that's already there and the U-Haul,
The drive-in.
yes.
yeah.
And that second U-Haul sign, rather than just the drive-in storage, would still require the variance that was put forward.
Yes.
It still requires a variance.
Right, for it to be allowed also. So essentially, we're really talking about 2, 4, 6, 7 signs, 7 additional signs. That
Yes,
for sure exceed the allowable surface space to be covered. And then secondly, also exceed the number of signs that are allowed.
Yeah,
But
so
instead of,
they don't all exceed the allowable coverage per wall.
only on this wall
The
would it
east.
exceed.
okay,
This side, it does not, it's under, I think it's like 8%.
okay,
But both would require more than one sign per wall if you
Yes.
approve
Right.
anything.
so we could approve 3 signs as a variance
These
on
two
the south side, and no signs on the
actually have it
east
right here.
side, other
Is that
than
where they
the,
Yeah.
Other than the drive-in storage, not there,
That place
correct?
right there.
Correct.
Okay,
Okay,
Yeah, you can specify which ones you are approving, which ones you're not. So
Okay.
when you go through, when you read through
So
and
take
you're
these
doing your
two out?
vote on
Yes.
each of the 5 conditions,
yes,
we would state, okay, we're gonna vote on the 5 conditions for the U-Haul sign.
right,
And then you proceed to vote, and then the next one, we're gonna vote on the south
that's right, yes,
side, upper wall panel.
right. And then additionally, under action, we could put a specific,
Condition.
what we specifically
Correct.
allow and what we don't allow.
Yes.
Okay. I apologize, I didn't mean, I'm just trying to make sure I
No, yeah.
understand all our options.
This one's a little confusing.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, may I say,
When I open the public hearing,
okay,
I have one more question. If they take those panels off, is the material underneath, is it like the material that's around it?
Yes.
I mean, I don't remember it. I should, I go by there all the time, but I don't remember what it looked like before those
And I
panels
didn't
went
get
on.
a picture before, but it's the same.
Uh-huh, okay. So you wouldn't really
It's not-
tell that they were gone?
Oh, I guess I could do an older date. Oh, but it's not there in 22.
Yeah, that's okay. All right, just want to make sure.
No, they do stand out, though. I will
They
say,
do.
They
They do.
catch your attention.
I had
They
no
do.
idea that it was not doors. I thought they were doors.
I was just trying to, I thought first they were doors, and then I thought, well, how would somebody get up to them? I said, nah, it's just gotta be a picture. But anyway, it does catch one's attention.
It does. And it tells you what it is, obviously, because they're storage doors. Yeah, I
Yeah.
get it. Okay. Any other questions for staff before we open the public hearing?
I don't have any more questions.
no.
No question, thank you.
All right, then, we'll open the public hearing.
okay,
Sir?
thank you, I appreciate it. On your file, can you go back to the prints for Hasco? That one there,
This one?
yep. That one there is the one that was approved when all of our paperwork went into city to get a building permit. And it shows windows. Now, they're not real windows, they're just those storage doors. But those storage doors have probably brought in more business in the last 6 months. Because about twice, 3 times a week, somebody wants to rent a storage door on the 3rd floor.
Well, they represent a reality, right?
Right.
Even though they're not storage doors.
Right,
But they talk to what's behind the wall,
right.
okay?
So,
These are building plans that were approved through the building department, not, I mean,
Outside.
we reviewed, but
Yeah, and it was stated at the DRC meeting that special, or separate permits were
Right.
required for signage.
Right.
Okay.
Would you like to say anything else, sir?
nope, I think I'm good.
Anybody have any questions for the applicant?
Oh, ma'am, thank you.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
About any discussion between us?
Yes.
Well, go ahead, sir, if you were.
Oh, yes, I hereby close the public hearing. Thank you. Forgot to do that part.
No, we just had to, stay with the,
Yeah.
the sequence.
Robert's rules, yes.
Yes, but I was thinking I personally, I mean, let's say, as a commissioner, even though I'm not against, or I understand the violation of the regulation on the east side. I would say that those doors, if they don't violate the surface space restriction like that, do give a great representation of what is in that building and what its capabilities are. And part of what we're doing is, along with ensuring that the regulations are enforced and also in their spirit are enforced. But I think also what we're doing is we want to encourage successful business. And as you mentioned, sir, that those pictures or those representations have brought in a lot of business. And I mean, I almost drove over there because I was curious, just how you did it. And yet I thought, yeah, well, I'm pretty busy too, so, but still, I like, what you've done on that south side. But I'm curious that if I want to make sure that I understand the 2 rows of doors on the south side, if then, with that drive-in storage sign, does that not exceed the limit or the percentile allowed, or is it just flat out doesn't? I'm asking you, ma'am, and you, ma'am.
So it's under 10% as it's shown right here,
Yes, ma'am.
but you're only allowed 1 sign per side, and
Right.
that one has been approved.
Right, and so I'm just thinking that, but we do have the option to, as long as it's mentioned, we can allow certain elements of each requested variance. We can approve this element, but not this element.
Correct.
And we can also go ahead and, as we did with the horse fence, I've forgotten, I think that's on Muncie or somewhere near Muncie, like that.
Yeah, it's on Muncie.
We were
In Lakeview.
talking about other options that they may have forgotten or just didn't think about, that if they knocked down a building, then they could do this, like that, and then therefore they wouldn't need a variance. And in this case, we could allow that signage on the south side without, it still exceeds the number of allowable signs on the wall. But it does not exceed the percentile of covered surface on that side. But it would seem like the next side over, the east side, not only exceeds the percentile, but it does exceed it, instead of by 3, it does it by 4. So we could choose to not allow any of those 4, so that we stay within the surface coverage. I'm just thinking that if I were the owner or the manager there, I'd want the other side, because that's where people see it. And then, or that left corner there below the drive-in storage, I'd want people to see that. The one on the right side, I don't know that particularly jumps out at anyone or brings any additional business in, but you would know, sir, way beyond.
There's a lot of people that drive through that entrance.
Are they? Okay.
And that is your biggest picture of everything.
Okay,
And if you go from the south side, that Starbucks parking lot is full 24/7.
it is.
And they get that view of that. So
That's
it's
true.
a double-edged sword on both sides. that-
You win either way, don't you? Yeah.
Right.
Yes, okay, then I think I
Okay.
understand. Thank you, ma'am.
I don't have any more questions to add.
Okay. I thought you had some other comments. I'm
No,
sorry.
it basically was answered,
Okay.
so.
I would think that the corner of the south side and the east side is the larger attraction, because it's not shown here in the picture, but driving south on 4th Street, that's what you see.
Yes,
That's the big impact. I don't see all the way down on the east side, down where it appears as if the entrance goes into the building. I don't see that because for the most part, there's a stacking of structures of some sort along the east side. The big impact sign would be on that corner.
yes, well, I would agree with your
And then if
premise.
they say they want to put in the middle of that south side sign, U-Haul, that would be the way to go. doing away with that extension of the sign on the east side.
I mostly agree with what you guys are saying in terms, if I were the person that owned that building, that's the signage I would want. Because it does have great impact. However, our ordinance is written in such a way that, you know, right now they want 7 more signs. And typically, from what I remember, you guys can help me remember if I don't get this right. You know, we've given sign variances for additional signs on buildings like Walmart. Walmart has a slew of signs on the front, but each one of those is identifying something that's on the inside that is different from Walmart. You know, the FedEx or the pharmacy or whatever is on there. In this case, this is the only thing that's going on in this building. And I do agree, it needs to say U-Haul somewhere. But the rest of the signage is really aesthetic. It certainly gives you a great idea about what's in there. But I also think might be going down a slippery slope for future cases here if we're not careful. Because if we're going to allow however many signs, 7 signs, 1 sign, whatever, we need to be able to justify that against our state statute, which is what these requirements are here. These aren't just City of Leavenworth, this is Kansas law.
Yeah.
And that we have to meet,
The conditions.
yes, the conditions, and they have to meet each one of these. So, you know, we need to kind of balance that and see where we come out with that. Those are kind of my comments.
And I'd also like to stress that they've been made aware that they were not allowed more than the 1 sign per side for a while
Right,
and in multiple stages.
sure, I understand, yeah. And sometimes it is easier to ask forgiveness than to ask permission, but you still gotta get permission.
And I look at that corner sign on each of the corners. I look at those as if they were 1 sign. I don't see multiple signs.
Yeah, so
Well,
they actually.
they-
submitted
But
it
they
that way.
exceed, huh?
They actually submitted it as separate signs. They could submit it as 1 sign, and then.
All the
then
space in
it'd be-
between
it'd be
counts.
included.
So it'd be
It's
the
one
square
contiguous.
footage of this whole area.
Exceeds what is allowable.
That may,
And
I
that-
don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, I haven't done the math.
And that would be a variance in itself of exceeding that limit and then putting
It goes over.
the U-Haul down in the middle of the south.
It'd still be the same variance, because you'd have a variance for the number of signs still, and you'd have a variance for probably likely the square footage.
Yeah. But I don't see that, that's 1 sign
But
on each side.
technically, it's 3 separate signs.
And
Just
3
because
separate
of-
applications were submitted, and
Right.
that was by the applicant's choice, not ours.
But what I'm saying is, I don't think it make a difference. If they resubmitted as 1 sign rather than 2 on that side, it would be the
Just to
same,
increase the square footage.
Yeah.
Of signage on that side.
Yeah.
and the number of signs.
And it would still require a variance.
Yeah,
Because the number of
so not much would change,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
But we could add in a corrective, and even though they've applied for a variance and they've applied and called it 3 signs, which apparently it is, again, we could then say, well, I want you to go ahead and set that up so that it is 1 sign, and, no, okay,
That's not the way the application was submitted, so we have to go with the
They
application
have to
that was
come back
submitted.
here again.
Yeah,
right. But we have done correctives before.
but it was advertised
Yes.
as 7 signs.
Right.
And so that's what we have to look at.
Okay, yes, ma'am. I was thinking more in terms of like versus action. I get this, but then,
They would have to come back.
Yeah.
yes, okay.
Any other discussion before we make our way through these conditions? And just for your awareness as well, sir, we have 4 members here tonight. 3 would need to be in agreement before it would pass. It agreed to pass for it to pass.
Yes.
And they would need to agree to each one of these conditions, all of them.
Get past the hurdle of number 1.
That's always the tricky one. Yes, it is. So, a request for a variance may be granted upon a finding of the board that all of the following conditions have been met. The board shall make a determination on each condition, and the finding shall be entered into the record. So here's the first one. That the variance requested arises from such condition which is unique to the property in question and is not ordinarily found in the same zone or district and is not created by an action or actions of the property owner or the applicant. We'll start at this end. Agree or disagree?
Ooh, tricky.
It is.
It really is. Unique. Created. Not created by an action or actions of the property owner. For the first one, I disagree for the first one.
Sorry?
I disagree.
Disagree?
I disagree.
I disagree.
Disagree. So, I predominantly want to disagree, but where do I say that it's okay? I think it's okay if we allow the U-Haul sign itself.
You
So is
could
that
do
gonna-
or do it per, you might want to separate out maybe the walls.
We could do that.
Or, and then do a condition.
Okay.
Okay. That would make more sense, because that's why
Yeah.
I was struggling with the first
Yeah.
one, because I was assuming as a
Is
whole
that-
collective thing.
Can I
but
do
if-
that?
I mean, yes, I think you can.
Or would it be better to do a condition to allow?
But if we voted negative to any of these,
Yeah.
then
Then it
it's gonna
doesn't
be
pass.
denied.
Yeah, because they're saying negative to, I mean, maybe break it down into 3 different ones, or, say because the U-Haul sign will be on the south side. So you can maybe run through the 5 conditions for
Just the U-Haul sign.
just the U-Haul sign first, and then run
The windows or
The
the,
all the
windows.
window ones,
The doors.
Together.
and unless you want to separate that and say, okay, we're gonna do the window ones on the south
South
side,
side.
and then we're gonna do the window ones on
the east side.
the east.
I
Or you
think,
can break up the east ones into 2 different ones if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Okay.
How do you feel
Yes.
about that?
No, I
In
think it's
2 or
actually
3?
good to vote based on,
And if you do them
or
all
to
up,
assess,
yeah.
make the assessment based on each wall because of the wall space.
Right.
And the signage in the sense of the number of signs, but also probably more importantly, the percentile of the surface covered. They're really both just as important, rather both cited as criteria.
I think if you're wanting to allow the U-Haul sign, I would keep that separate.
Okay.
Just to keep things clean and clear.
Yes, I'd agree.
And then if there's certain door signs that you want to keep, you can either keep them together or by wall side.
Okay, let's do this. Do we all agree that we want to split these out first as a board?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, I want to make sure that we're in agreement with that first. All right, so let's start over there. And so, given that first condition, and let's look at just the U-Haul sign.
Okay.
Now,
So just for the U-Haul side.
just for the U-Haul sign.
So just for the U-Haul sign, I would put I agree.
Okay.
With the U-Haul
I
sign.
agree.
I agree.
I agree.
All right. U-Haul sign only. Make myself some notes here. All right, second condition for U-Haul sign only, that the granting of the permit for the variance will not adversely affect the rights of adjacent property owners.
I agree.
I
Agree?
agree.
I agree.
All right. that the strict application of the provisions of the development regulations for which the variance is requested will constitute unnecessary hardship upon the property owner represented in the application. U-Haul sign only.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
That the variance desired will not adversely affect the public health, safety, morals, order, convenience, prosperity, or general welfare.
I agree.
Agree?
Agree.
I agree.
All right. And lastly, that granting of the variance desired will not be opposed to the general spirit and intent of the development regulations.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
And my only comment with that to this portion of the variance would be, I do feel it's important for that building to be identified as U-Haul, and because it currently doesn't say that at all.
Yes.
So, yeah, so it is a identification sign, in my opinion.
Agree with that.
Okay.
criteria, too.
Perfect. So then, how would you like to proceed? Do you want to do all of the other signs together, or do you want to split them up by size? I'm good with doing them all together, but I don't know how you feel.
I'd like to split them up
You
by.
want-
South, 5 walls.
Yes.
All right,
I'll agree with that.
we'll start with the south side then, which is these
Yes.
right there. A, that the variance requested arises from such condition which is unique to the property in question and is not ordinarily found in the same zone or district, is not created by the action or actions of the property owner or the applicant. Let's try it this way. I know,
I agree.
I disagree.
I disagree.
I disagree.
That the granting of the permit for the variance will not adversely affect the rights of adjacent property owners or residents. Again, south side windows, or not, south side doors, if you will.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
Agree.
That the strict application of the provisions of the development regulations from which the variance is requested will constitute unnecessary hardship upon the property owner represented in the application.
Agree.
Disagree.
I agree.
I agree.
All right. That the variance desired would not adversely affect the public health, safety, morals, order, convenience, prosperity, or general welfare.
I disagree.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
And lastly, for the door signs on the south side, the granting of the variance desired will not be opposed to the general spirit and intent of the development regulations.
I agree.
I disagree, because I do think it does go against the general spirit and intent. If they were windows, wouldn't be a problem, but it clearly, the way they're built, they are signs, even though I might not necessarily agree with the sign definition. But the way our ordinance is written, it does go against, in my opinion, that definition. And so it would go against the general spirit of the development regulations.
Disagree.
I agree.
You agree? Okay. So giving those conditions, those signs would be denied. So now we're going to move to the ones on the east side. Again, you want to do them all together, or do you want to do the left and right?
I would rather do left and right.
I would rather do left and right.
Separate them.
Okay,
Left and right.
let's do the ones underneath the drive-in store. No, let's do the ones on the far right first. Let's do those on the far right, on the end of the
So the
building.
north.
On the north one.
Yeah.
Right.
East wall, north end.
Right, exactly. East wall, north end. Thank you. All right, so that the variance requested arises from such conditions which is unique to the property in question and is not ordinarily found in the same zone or district and is not created by an action or actions of the property owner or the applicant.
I disagree.
I disagree.
I disagree.
I disagree.
All right.
Now, since everybody already disagreed on that first one,
Yeah.
you really don't have to go forward.
Well, thank
right.
you. I would, just as practice of exercise, but I appreciate that. lot of words there, all
Yeah.
right. So the east wall, north end signs are denied. All right, so now we're gonna do the east wall, south end, door signs. All right, that the variance requested arises from such condition which is unique to the property in question and is not ordinarily found in the same zone or district and is not created by an action or actions of the property owner or the applicant.
I agree.
I agree.
I disagree.
I agree.
All right. B, that the granting of the permit for the variance will not adversely affect the rights of adjacent property owners or residents.
I agree.
I agree.
Agree.
I agree.
C, that the strict application of the provisions of the development regulations from which the variance is requested will constitute unnecessary hardship upon the property owner represented in the application.
I agree.
I agree.
I disagree.
I agree.
D, that the variance desired will not adversely affect the public health, safety, morals, order, convenience, prosperity, or general welfare.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
And lastly, that the granting of the variance desired would not be opposed to the general spirit and intent of the development regulations.
I agree.
I agree.
I disagree for the same reason I disagreed on the east side, north end signs.
Yes, I agree.
All right, so those are approved. All right, we made it through. Yes,
So
sir.
it's southeast is good,
The U-Haul sign, yes.
so the U-Haul sign on this side. The ones below.
Wait, can you come to the?
Yeah, oh,
Otherwise
yes.
We can't get it from the recording, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Michelle.
That's okay.
So on the south wall, it's the U-Haul sign is allowed,
In the rock,
and these two are not
Okay.
allowed.
okay,
These are not,
right,
and these are.
okay. All right, I wanna make sure that I get it all right, so that,
Yeah, it's a bit complicated.
Yes, indeed.
And we don't have an application for the U-Haul sign yet, but we do for these, and we can issue those tomorrow. Or maybe,
Well, that's the thing, I mean,
sometime
since
this
you're going
week.
to ask for forgiveness, you better know exactly for what you're being forgiven, and you're asking.
So, I have kind of a tangential question. The U-Haul sign, it's a pretty small sign for the size of the building, but that's what they've submitted, that's what you've already got built? Is that what I heard you say?
yep, that is a standard U-Haul sign
Okay.
across corporate
All right,
United States.
works for me. All right.
All right.
Do we have anything on the agenda for, we do?
We have one item on the agenda for next month, and that is the 26th, because President's Day is the 19th. So it's pushed another week again.
Okay.
And is it another sign?
No.
Am I good to go?
Yes.
You are.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
It's
Okay.
setbacks.
Anything else? Commissioners,
Nothing else.
motion to
I moved
adjourn?
it. I so moved.
I second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, well, that was interesting.
My wife will not believe that it took us 48 minutes to go through that.
Sorry it was so confusing. Okay, bye. It was complicated to explain.
Yes,
It was. It was.
I tried to explain it in
Yeah.
the
I
staff
mean, I even
report.
went by there twice this week, actually, and I still was like, I don't get it, because I didn't realize those were signs. It's like, I don't.
Right, I didn't know
where
what it
the
was
signs
for
are.
a long time, but I'm glad that you put that out there to kind of differentiate on all of them, because that's where I was stuck on. I was like, I can kind of see one, but then I
Yeah.
can't really see the other. I'm glad you were able to clarify it. That made it
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, and I just want to say, I apologize for interrupting you at the very beginning.
No.
I realized I talked right over you.
No,
so
no.
I-
You're
I'm
fine.
Sorry.
I think that
I'll do better.
I didn't think anything of it. You're good. You're all fine.
At least you're the president or the
That's right.
Yeah, but I don't need to be rude.
No, and I apologize for bringing up all the different